Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Aachi Ssipak, or Aachi Ssipak. Now, this was a winner of my Patreon movie review vote. If you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. This has been the longest movie, the only movie from what used to be a movie review raffle. Then Patreon said you couldn't do that anymore, and then I made a movie review vote. It left for a little while, it came back, and finally it won, and I'm now reviewing it. And I didn't know how to say it, but it's Aachi Ssipak, not eight. I forgot how I said it before. I don't know. I see a lot of animated movies, duh. And I think there's certain ones that love to be inappropriate because they're animation, and animation never gets to do that. They kind of overdo it on the swear words, overdo it on the sex, overdo it on the violence, because it's almost like a release. Holy shit, we can fucking do this. I'm gonna blow all this shit up. I don't care. It's this overreaction, right? And a lot of times that can be really annoying. It's like a 13-year-old finally getting to say fuck, and they're just gonna fucking say fucking fuck all the fucking time they fucking want. And you're just like, whoa, chill out. They aren't really as good at that. They usually say the curse word at a higher volume as the rest of the words, and you're just like, that's weird. Anyway, Aachi Ssipak is so different from those because there's toilet humor, there's violence, there's stupid outrage humor. There's all these things that normally I would be like, ugh, whatever, and I'd be talking about Hell and Back or something, and I'm just like, this is just too much. I don't really get what people like about this, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case with this. The animation is so explosive and moving and whimsical and kind of crazy, and there's always things going on screen, and there's never really a dull moment, that maybe I don't really honestly like any character necessarily, but I liked watching this movie. I wanted to see what was going on. I thought it was sort of odd because I was like, I don't really like anybody in this movie. I don't really like any of the dialogue necessarily. I think the plot's a little dumb, but I love how they did it. I don't think this director, Beom-jin, has done anything else other than this, to my understanding, or at least the little I could find. But I would honestly be excited to see another film by this director and this kind of animation style. I was really into it, to be honest. It's interesting because I think there is a certain thing in movies, there's a certain thing the experience of the film is kind of almost becomes more important than, in certain films, the experience of the actual movie almost becomes bigger than the story that the film is telling, than what the movie is trying to say or anything. All the action sequences had such a great visual sense to it. It never wanted to calm down. I never wanted it to calm down because it was just a very crazed animated film. It was like the Fleischer brothers took a ton of speed and Red Bull and just drew a little less good and just went fucking crazy. It was so inventive in what it's doing. Certainly it's just blowing people away and in this crazy dystopian world. And again, a lot of these weird dystopian things that don't necessarily have a point and are clearly influenced by RoboCop. This film is very clearly influenced by RoboCop. I don't like, there's so many things when I was watching it was I don't like that, but I really want to see where this is going, and I'm really into it. And it was such a weird experience. I honestly, it was I wish I could see this on the big screen. That sounds really cool. At the same time, when someone's what's the plot of this? I'd be like, oh, it's the animation. Let's talk about the animation. It sort of reminds me of MFKZ, but sort of dumber. But I think this was actually more enjoyable than that film, which is crazy. This film is basically about a dystopian future where mankind has depleted all their energy and fuel sources, but they came up with a way to make poop or human shit into fuel, and to reward that, the government gives you kind of these addictive juicy bars that are sort of popsicles, which also make them a little constipated. If you get really addicted, you become these weird little blue kind of creatures that are called diapers or something. So then these two guys, Aachi and Ssipak, they're just kind of street dudes, and they are trading juicy bars on the black market. They know a porn director, Jimmy the Freak, and through him they meet a porn star named Beautiful, who has this pink ring around her butt, which makes her poop get rewarded with more juicy bars than the normal person, a ton of juicy bars. The diaper gang, who are the weird blue guys, really want her because they're addicted to these things, and everyone wants her, and obviously her butt is really valuable, and that's the conflict of this movie. And it's crazy and it's stupid and I just love it. One of the things I liked about MFKZ was I like the attitude of it. I like the style of it. It's like I sort of like seeing animated films. I'm like, oh, you are the only one of you. This is cool. Like, let's praise that this happened and then this exists. Like, I think that's something gets sort of underappreciated. Like, you could go like, I've seen people go like, this is a weird movie, and people who like this outrageous weird stuff. And I do see a lot of those kinds of movies. And I think the ones that, like this one, that do the best at that is like they have a certain attitude you can get into, but they also like the enjoyability. Like this director could, I really have a lot of faith in this director because he really could get me through this crazy plot. It certainly went into weird places, and there's some parts I was like, how did that person get here? Or did I miss that? Was I concentrating? But it moved so well, I sort of like didn't care. Like, it just got me through all these things to like, it just kept getting me through the plot in such a magnificent way. I was just sort of in love with it, and I think that is one of the things, is like how well a director can tell a story, not necessarily the story. I keep saying that, I'm sorry, but I think in this film, this director is so good at it. I mean, they helped write the screenplay, but I think it's so much better than the screenplay, really. I really loved it. You know, I think this is more of an animation nerd movie because you'd really be watching it for the animation and the kind of crazed way about it. I would actually recommend it to, like, if you're someone who liked Helen Back or MFKZ or all these like crazy kind of like inappropriate animated films, I would say you should absolutely see this film, because you will be like totally in awe of like, whoa, that is a smooth like 90 minutes. Like, it goes by so quickly. It goes by boom, boom, boom. I was surprised, like, when I was watching it, I think it was like an hour in, and I was like, oh my god, like, we're almost over? Like, what's going on right now? Like, I just love the style of it. I think in some parts I did feel like, I guess as much as I'm going through it and moving fast, as soon as I sort of noticed that and thought about it, it took me out of it a little, but not too much. I think as a film, it works so fluidly, which is just so interesting, because it just, like, literally some of them, like, I think one of them keeps saying instead of beat people up, he's gonna beat them off, and they keep making jokes about that. And it's like, that, I didn't really think that was funny, but it was like seeing them get to those scenes and seeing them, how everything was laid out and everything was just like really smart visual storytelling. Like, incredibly smart. And certainly, like, all these jokes about pooping and stuff, it's a little stupid, and it is trying to do kind of Verhoeven, but I think sometimes when you're making these like really, really broad dystopian future kind of things, you end up like just being so cartoony and ridiculous. You're sort of like not making a point, you're just making a ridiculous statement about culture. And I think it worked for this film, and a lot of times, like, you have your repos, you have your okjas, you have all that stuff. I'm never really as into those. Not that I think the poop jokes are necessarily funny. I was sort of just more accepting of it. Through the flow of this, like, at the beginning I was like, what, is this gonna be dumb? And the answer is yeah, sure, but I was so into it. Like, I would watch this again if someone was like, have you seen Aachi Ssipak? I'd say I can say it wrong a lot of ways, and I probably did this time, but it is an awesome film. It is a South Korean animated film. It did not really do well, and I don't think it's that well known. I found it on Crunchyroll, but it seemed to be not really available outside of that, and it's sort of very much a cult animated film, but it's a cult animated film that just like had so much life to it. It's like a fun cult movie, really. I think I've seen, the only other South Korean animated film I've seen is maybe Soul Station, but this is radically different than that. This had such a fun and a life to it. I wish this director would be able to make more films. It doesn't necessarily blow my mind, but it says a lot about how good direction can make even like the stupidest thing and the silliest thing and the thing that I wouldn't really necessarily like what it's doing into a really enjoyable film. And I had a really good time with Aachi Ssipak, and I'm actually really glad I saw it. I was like, oh, that's like a really cool movie, you know, and I like kind of seeing different kind of animated films, and this was really different. The character designs were different, the flow of the animation was different. You can tell this director loves doing animated films and loves making action sequences, and maybe is a dumb 14-year-old, but damn, are they fucking good at it. Aachi Ssipak, if you are someone who likes this kind of film, that kind of ridiculous, outrageous, like sort of very adult kind of, you know, cursing animated film, this is absolutely probably one of the best I've ever seen, but not for the outrageous thing, just for how awesome the animation and the action is. And that's what I really, really enjoyed about it. I think this is a really out of this world kind of one of those, and maybe one of the best of its very weird cult adult animation genre. So if you have seen Aachi Ssipak and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. And yeah, you don't have to hear me say Aki and Ssipak, or whatever I was saying anymore. This was a long time coming as a Patreon movie thing, so I'm kind of happy to have done it. I almost was worried I wouldn't get to see it, and then I found the Crunchyroll thing. So it's awesome sometimes seeing these that have just been sitting around and people are like, you should do this, and eventually seeing them. Maybe there's one of those in the comments in the future. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.